Hey, it's Jorge from brewbeeranddrinkit.com, and today I'm going to be brewing a German Pilsner. Now, this is going to be a very simple recipe. All I have is German Pilsner malt, and I'm going to be trying out a new yeast, I guess. It's recently new, WP835. It's a German lager X yeast strain. Now, really the experiment on this beer is going to be mostly on the hops. I've been having quite a bit of a difficult time, I guess, getting good quality information that I can rely on as far as brewing with aged hops. Most of the information is usually pertaining brewing Lambic beers, but I know there are German brewers who used aged hops for their regular lager beers. So I aged these hops about a month ago. So they've lost the cheesy smell that a lot of brewers are afraid of. And so I'm trying to kind of figure out how exactly does it work brewing with beta acids instead of alpha acids as far as bitterness, and how does it compare. I heard some brewers say that the bitterness is a bit more harsh and all that. So since I can't find good reliable information and found someone that has actually done it, well, that's what I'm going to do today. That's why I'm keeping the recipe as simple as possible, doing everything else, you know, basically stuff that I already know what it tastes like. So I know what a beer brewed with just German Pilsner tastes like. So that's why I'm just doing that. And I'm gonna be trying out these hops. So let's go ahead and get started. So I started out by adding my grains to the mash tun. And I went ahead and did my salt additions. For this beer, I used about half a teaspoon of gypsum and about just over half a teaspoon of calcium chloride. And then I went ahead and mashed in. Now I mashed in at 112 degrees and stirred everything up. Did about a 1.25 quarts per pound of grains. And then I started with my first decoction. I pulled about 1/3 of the mash, mostly grains, and I let the main mash sit while I kept the grains at a temperature of 150 degrees for about 10 minutes, and then I boiled the grains for about 10 or 15 minutes. Before boiling though, I made sure that my pH was within range, and then after the boil, I brought that back to the main mash, and I stirred up. And this brought the main mash to a protein rest of 130 degrees. And then I went ahead and started my second decoction. So I pulled up about an equal amount of grains and water this time, about 40%. I let the main mash sit at a protein rest. And in the meantime, I took these grains through a starch to sugar conversion temperature of 158 degrees. And then I went ahead and boiled that for about 10 minutes again, and then I brought that to the main mash so I can do my main saccharification rest at 148 degrees. And then at the very end, I did a third decoction, mostly water, and that was mostly used to bring the mash to a mash out temperature. Then I went ahead and recirculated until I got clear wort. And for this beer, I did a batch sparge. So I collected the wort from the main mash, and then I went ahead and added more water to the grains and stirred up, basically repeated the process of recirculating, and then I started to collect wort, and I collected a total of about 7 gallons so I could do a 90-minute boil for this beer. So I brought this to a boil, and again I did a 90-minute boil, so I let this boil for about 30 minutes before doing my hop additions. Now for the hops, I talked about this earlier, I made sure they were oxidized, so you can see how they look kind of brownish. I pulled a couple of samples so you can get an idea of what they look like. And so this is a full ounce of hops, and I just went ahead and added these when I had 60 minutes left in the boil. And then as usual, just stir it up a bit, let it boil, cooled it down, and then I transferred to my fermenter. I aerated and pitched my yeast straight from the vial, and then I went ahead and started fermenting this at 48 degrees, and it started fermenting already very nicely. So I'll be keeping you in touch to let you know how it turns out and what the results are when it comes to brewing with aged hops. We'll see you in the next video.